Hello, welcome to Big Ideas Small Business. I'm Doreen Milano, and today we are going to be talking about numbers with our favorite CPA.
You're tuned into Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen brings energy, focus, and creativity with the most cutting-edge tools and systems needed to grow business, drive profits, and achieve dreams. Ready to rise? Here's your host, Doreen Milano.
I want to welcome Jeremy Johnson from Fort Worth. He is a CPA, and he's here to educate us. Welcome, Jeremy.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
So we get to talk today about numbers.
Good.
And it's been my experience. I've been a business coach and a controller and all kinds of things. It's been my experience in the number of businesses I connect with that most of the owners, most of the staff do not work well with numbers.
Yeah.
And it is a real issue if you are trying to drive that business to a new level.
All right.
So we have to get creative. So how do you get creative with your business owners when it comes to numbers?
Well, the thing that I had to realize was, number one, business owners are business owners because they enjoy a particular thing, right? And then a lot of times it's not accounting, right? They enjoy whatever service or product is that they offer.
Secret, it's never accounting.
It's never accounting.
Never
It's
accounting.
Only for weird guys like me.
Or me.
So that's the thing that we have to understand. And as a professional that advises them, I have to understand that too. So I can't talk to them about accumulated depreciation and amortization and all these terms, right? Because that's not going to resonate.
You're going to put them to sleep, aren't you?
That's exactly what happened.
You're going to put them to sleep.
Right? So we're going through a consultation and they're knocked out, right? But I still charge by the hour, so it doesn't matter. but the thing is, we want to make sure that we're explaining things in a way that resonates with them. So when we talk about lead generation and how many businesses can you actually help, or how many households can you impact with what you're doing? Mm-hmm. Let's talk through those things. And as we do further planning, let's talk about, because we all know the only things that's certain in life, death and taxes, right?
Absolutely.
And so we can't talk about death. I don't want to talk about that. Right now we're talking about the life of your business, but what's going to happen within that are the taxes that are going to come from that. So we have to do proper planning around that so that you're not caught off guard as a business owner.
Now, when I work with companies, what I found was what really helped is really looking at gamification when it came to numbers. So instead of looking at profits, look at cash flow. Instead of looking at your sales and your leads and your conversion rates, look at KPIs and build them into a dashboard so you're not having to dig through your numbers to figure out the answer.
All right.
So do you employ a lot of dashboards and other gamification pieces for your business owners working with you?
Absolutely, we have to. Again, we try to make this as fun as possible. There are certain things that you can't really make fun, but you can make it as fun as possible.
Right.
And going through the accounting process is one of those things, right? Going through tax planning is one of those things. And so what we look at whenever we work with the business owner is we try to take a holistic approach and say, what are your goals? What are your objectives? What are the things that you're wanting to pull out of your business? What are some savings goals that you have? Okay, great. You want to go on a family vacation. So how can we utilize your business to make that goal a reality for you? So we make it a game. How can we beat the IRS? How can we avoid paying all these taxes to the IRS? Because I'm pretty sure anybody who can reduce their tax liability legitimately, legally, will absolutely want to do that. And so that's what we do. We gamify it. Absolutely. That's a great term for it.
Well, now, Jeremy's here today because I got on Jeremy's mailing list, which is kind of an exciting story. And he started sending me emails about things that, even though I've worked with taxes, I've worked with accountants, and I've worked with accounting my entire life, because of some of the changes that are going on, there were things that he was sending me that I had no idea about, which prompted me to contact him and ask him here so that he can share some of these incredible insights. Because if I don't know about them, my clients don't know about them.
Right.
Many people don't know about them. So we have an opportunity right now to write off 100% of our meals under certain circumstances.
Absolutely.
So what does that look like?
Yeah, so because of what's been going on with the pandemic, they said, you know what, there is a such thing as a free meal at this point, right? So we want to make it, because of the restaurants and the other venues that were impacted by COVID, they're doing two things. Number one is they're really wanting to increase foot traffic, increase traffic to these restaurants. Let's get revenue back into those industries. But then they're also seeing that business owners, as an incentive for their employees, for their staff, right? This is a way of retaining your staff. We're going to allow you to feed your staff, and it's 100% deductible, whereas before it was only 50%.
Correct.
But now it's like 100% deductible. So you and I can go grab a steak, we can write that entire thing off, right? So let's do that.
That's great.
That's what this incentivizes small businesses to do. So that's why that's in place.
So there's two pieces to that, if I recall your email correctly. One is you can go to the restaurant and get the 100%. The other one is that you can bring food into the business
Absolutely.
and get 100%.
Absolutely.
So that really helps businesses with their process of how are they entertaining their clients without entertaining their clients.
Exactly.
Because the entertainment thing went
That's
away.
gone. It's gone.
It's gone.
Right.
You can't do that anymore, right? So how can we make this work within the surroundings and make it legal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what other kinds of things are we really looking for in the changes in the tax laws that can help small business owners get to the next level?
You know, one of the things, so there's a lot that's in the new tax code that's been out there. The ARPA is out there, right? So there's all these legislative changes that have been put out to help small businesses that have been impacted by COVID. But, you know, the reality is there has always been a lot out there to help small business. But the issue is that getting that information to the small business, there's been a disparity there. You know, so it's always key to make sure that you're working with someone that knows this information. And I'm so glad you spoke to the newsletter that goes out, because that is, you are our target market, right? You are a business owner that is looking for ways to reduce their tax liability. And that's what we want to do. We want to get that information out there. It's an education piece for us. And just making sure that business owners are educated in the information that they're receiving. So making sure you're tracking your expenses. You know, that is one of the key things, because if you're audited, you have to be able to substantiate, there's another great big word, right? Prove that these are legitimate expenses for your business and they were in fact for your business. So you have to have a proper tracking system.
You have to keep your receipts.
You got to keep those receipts, right? And then find an accounting system that works for you. So I've seen small businesses use, you know, online platforms, cloud-based platforms, or a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is great. It's not going to give you certain metrics that you need to kind of gauge where your business is going, but it's better than nothing, right? You have a spreadsheet where you're able to track everything. Pulling up a bank statement and providing that to the IRS is not going to do it, because they'll see a charge on there and they're not sure if you were buying groceries, getting gas, or getting copy paper for your office. So you have to be specific when tracking those expenses.
Now, there are a couple pieces here that I think everybody needs to understand. Businesses, the tax laws are written for corporations. They're not written for a proprietor that has no legal box around them.
All right.
Right? So an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, right?
Yep.
And that's number one on the hit parade. But the other thing is that there are so many small businesses, contracting business, I see this all the time, that they're running their business out of their personal checking account.
Right. That's a huge no-no.
And it's not going to fly. So when we look at those things, if you're a small business and you're running your business out of your personal checking account, go to the bank and get a business account. If you are not an LLC yet, which is one of the least expensive things to become as an LLC, You can do it for under, what, $300? You can self-file it and do it for under $300. And then you can choose to be taxed as an S Corp, even though you're an LLC. And that gives you all the tax benefits of being taxed as a corporation.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah. So one of the big things as it relates to that is small business owners, you have to have a plan in place, because just the LLC, it gives you some flexibility as a business owner, but just saying I am an LLC right now does not give you the tax benefits that you're looking for, that most business owners are looking for. So that S Corp election does add to it, or a C Corp, right? Adds to it. It adds to the layers. And this is all about layers. You know, as it relates to tax planning, it's about layers. You have to put this plan in place so that you can do this thing and then you can do that thing. The LLC is a great foundation. It does provide some level of protection. So get with an attorney and they'll walk you through that process. But don't stop there. Right?
Keep going.
You got to keep going. And then put some things in place, some safeguards to where you can take legitimate deductions.
That's a great piece of advice. Now, what is one piece that we need to know that we don't know?
You can pay as much or as little in taxes as you want to.
Whoa, that's amazing. Can we talk about that in a minute?
Absolutely.
We are going to take a moment. We're going to talk to our sponsors, and we will be right back.
My American dream is to help you stay healthy and energized so you can live your American dream.
Our American dream is equipping future generations of American dreamers.
My American dream is to protect my community so they can live their American dream.
My American dream is to bring you some spice and flavor to your life.
Our American dream is ensuring what's most valuable to you.
Our American dream is creating opportunities for healthcare providers so they can have their American dreams.
My American dream is serving our business community and advocating for all of your American dreams.
Business runs on technology, and human beings are creatures of habit. Unfortunately, not all our habits are good. Technology, when it works, is supposed to make our lives easier, creating routines that allow us to protect customer data, track our progress, forecast the future, communicate better, and move much faster. So, you need technology solutions that work when you're not working, or simply not paying attention. Smart technology solutions, making the complicated uncomplicated.
We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. They're not out to tell you the truth of what's happening. They're out to tell you the picture of the world that they represent. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in facts, and prevent people from being misled. The Epoch Times is independent. We're not controlled by any special interests, and we never will be. The Epoch Times is a non-partisan media. That means we don't stand for any political party. This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would ensnare this country in ignorance, and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. Subscribe today and join the Americans who are seeking truth and tradition. We'd love to have you on board.
Welcome back. We are talking to Jeremy Johnson, and we left off with, I can pay as little in taxes as I want.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How does that happen?
So it takes, the big word here, where there's 2 words, proper planning. Okay.
Okay.
So that's what it takes. And that's the thing that really gets a lot of small business owners in trouble, is there's not enough proper planning. So And understandably so. So here's the thing with me. I'm a small business owner as well, right? So I've gone through this. I've gone through the phase of, man, I need every dime that's coming in to help pay the bills, right? So I totally understand that.
That's what goes
from that
on.
standpoint, absolutely. And so that's there. But outside of that, you really have to make sure you have a plan in place for every dollar that comes in, every dollar that's spent. Whether that means, making estimated tax payments or putting certain strategies in place. There are several things that a business owner needs to do in order to basically gauge what their tax liability is going to be for the upcoming year. There's no reason that a business owner should be caught off guard by their tax bill when they file the following year.
And I cannot tell you how many businesses I talk to that says, oh, I'm so behind, I don't have enough cash flow. I owe the IRS X number of dollars, and it's going to take me a couple of years to dig out from underneath that.
Right.
And that's never a comfortable feeling for any business owner.
It's not.
So how can we get audited?
Easily, right? Not keeping up with what your business is doing and not reporting that properly on the tax return. That is one of the quickest ways, is just skipping information on the tax return. So here's a trick for the IRS, right? The IRS will give you grace and leeway when you're proactive. Okay, so for those clients that give us a call and they say, hey, I got a notice in the mail. Okay, great, send it over. Well, we threw the first one away, but here's the third one, right? And so now we're in big trouble.
Oops one.
Right, we're in big trouble because, being proactive and just making sure you act immediately whenever you hear from the IRS. But even before then, let's make sure that the filings are accurate. Let's make sure that we buttoned up everything, we crossed every T, dotted every I, on the tax return itself. All of your expenses, let's make sure that they're showing there. Let's make sure you can substantiate. There's no sense in guessing, right? Let your accounting system display what is going on your tax return.
Do people actually guess at what their expenses are?
Oh, absolutely.
How does that work?
Absolutely, horribly. So it doesn't really. We'll have new clients come in and we'll say, okay, you know what? Hey, send us your financials and we'll get going. Well, I don't really have financials. Okay.
I hear that all the time.
Well,
I don't have a financial statement.
What do you have? Well, we have bank statements. Okay, great.
And how's that working for you?
Send over those bank statements, and we look at it, and we see childcare expenses, we see office supply expenses. Everything is hodgepodge into this personal bank account, and that is a nightmare. If you're operating a business, operate the business. This is no longer a personal venture. This is now a business entity. Whether you're registered with the Secretary of State or not, whether you formed an LLC or not, this is a viable business, and we need to treat it that way, and we need to separate those expenses out.
There are a lot of people these days that, because of COVID and what's been going on, they've chosen to create what people call a side hustle, right? They're selling this or that or the next thing. And they didn't do the planning for it.
Right.
They didn't set it up as an actual business. They didn't get a separate bank account. And they've got everything running through their personal account. And somehow they think that everything will be okay.
Right.
When people choose to do this, it really limits your ability, and it increases their exposure.
Yes.
Right? So when we talk about gamifying the business, making it easy and fun, how can we help those kinds of people? How can we make it easy and fun?
Yeah. Develop systems. Develop systems in a way that makes it fun. We're setting attainable goals, right? We're coming up with the metrics for them to look at so that they can gauge how their business is doing. Because what some small business owners don't realize is that their business is actually growing, it's thriving, right? But on the back end, their standard of living is increasing a little bit, or, they have a little extra money in the account, so they start doing this different thing here. But there's nothing there to quantify how the business is doing and how well it's doing. But when you put that on paper, right? You do a cash flow analysis, like you said, you have
Right.
KPIs, right? You know, when you have those things in place, you're able to look at it and say, wow, so my sales increased 13% over the last 2 months. Yeah. Wow, well, where's the money? Exactly, right? Now we're starting to ask questions and analyze what's going on in our business. But then it really does become fun because you're actually able to see how well your business is doing without money just kind of going out the window.
Makes sense.
Good. It sounds good. Right?
One of the things that goes on when people ask that, where's the money question, I go, where's your financial statement? I want you to look at your accounts receivable. Has it grown over the last 2 months?
Right.
Are you collecting what you need to be collecting? Because that's where your cash is. And they'll go, oh, no. I said, so what can we do to get that collected?
Right.
And then that turns into a game, right?
Yeah.
We can take the first tranche at no discount. We can do a small discount for people to pay right now. We can put them on a payment plan. We can do a lot of things to make that cash become a reality in their business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to go another step farther, Doreen. When you put them on a payment plan, get their card information.
Yeah.
Okay? So don't just say, hey, we're going to put you on a 6-month payment plan. Send your check when you feel like it. No. We're dinging that account on the 1st of the month for the next
We're doing an
few months.
ACH.
Absolutely.
We're doing a credit card charge. We're doing something.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
We have to do that or we'll end up in the same position.
Well, what it comes down to is that if the IRS is going to do it to you, you've got to be prepared to do it to your clients if they're not paying you.
Absolutely.
Right? The next thing that I think is really important for us to talk about is, as small business owners, the difference between an S Corp and a C Corp and an LLC with regards to paying ourselves.
Yeah.
What is the difference? What do we have to pay attention to?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as it relates to that, I do want to say, I do want to talk about one thing, and that is how to get audit, how to make sure you're audited.
Ooh.
You want to know about that?
Let's hang on to that for a second. But I think it's important for people to really start understanding the pieces that go into their business that can easily slip through the cracks if they're not paying attention, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I do is I go in and I sit down with the business owner and I show them where they've left about $100,000 or more on the table at any given moment in time.
Yeah.
People don't recognize that there are so many little things going on in their business that is leaking money.
Absolutely.
And it's in bank accounts, it's in print. When you print business cards or you print invoices or you print something else, there are cost overruns. Those cost overruns are added to your bill, but they're not really something that you ever agreed to have.
Yeah.
Right? Shipping. As a business, you're paying for shipping all over the place.
Right.
Are you paying attention to what you can do to reduce that shipping expense?
Yeah.
And many times, reducing that shipping expense would really drop your overall costs by between 5 and 10%.
It will. It will. Proper planning. So proper planning doesn't just come in the form of planning on how to, save on taxes, but also how to cut costs within your business. You have to be smart. You have to be smart with your purchases. You have to develop relationships with other business owners and see if you can if there's some other cost-saving strategies out there that as you're developing these relationships. Absolutely.
So when you're developing those relationships, how does that work?
Yeah. So you have to go into it in mind with, what is it that I want to get out of this relationship? How is it going to impact my business, right? What are the things that I need? So when I first started, it wasn't even an accounting firm, it was a bookkeeping service. When I first started that, I looked at how can I grow my business? And one of the things that I thought through is I need to connect with people that are connecting with the people that I'm wanting to meet. So the very first thing that I did was I developed relationships with bankers. And these bankers saw new business owners all the time. And these new business owners coming in, one of the things that they would ask them is, do you have an accountant? Do you have a bookkeeper? Do you have anyone that is working with you? And my card was always on their desk. And so you have to make sure you're developing relationships and let that be reciprocating, right?
It's a big deal.
It has to be a reciprocating relationship. So I can't just expect this banker to give and give and give.
No.
So when this banker calls and they say, hey, I have a client here that has a question about something, sure, put them on the phone. Put them on the phone. Let me talk to them real quick.
We're going to stop right now. We're going to take another minute and talk to our sponsors. Okay. And then we're going to come back and tell us the absolute way we get an audit.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be fun.
That's going to be fun. We'll be right back.
Business runs on technology, and human beings are creatures of habit. Unfortunately, not all our habits are good. Technology, when it works, is supposed to make our lives easier, creating routines that allow us to protect customer data, track our progress, forecast the future, communicate better, and move much faster. So, you need technology solutions that work when you're not working or simply not paying attention. Smart technology solutions, making the complicated uncomplicated.
My American dream is to help you stay healthy and energized so you can live your American dream.
Our American dream is equipping future generations of American dreamers.
My American dream is to protect my community so they can live their American dream.
My American dream is to bring you some spice and flavor to your life.
Our American dream is ensuring what's most valuable to you.
Our American dream is creating opportunities for healthcare providers so they can have their American dreams.
My American dream is serving our business community and advocating for all of your American dreams.
We are back. Welcome. And we're talking to Jeremy Johnson, and he's going to let us know how we can absolutely get audited. Go for it.
Okay, so what small business owners don't realize is that there are trigger points on your tax return when you're filing these. There are certain areas that if the IRS doesn't see a figure there, it can absolutely create a red flag on your return. So we talked about S corporations a little bit earlier. Well, one thing that a lot of small business owners don't realize is that as an S corporation, as a member of the LLC or as a business owner and as an operator within that business, you have what's called reasonable compensation. So that means that you as the business owner are required to receive wages. Well, when you're filing your 1120S, which is the tax return for an S Corp, when you're filing that, there is a line that says owner compensation. Leave that line blank for several years and show a profit, right? That is going to be the quickest way for a red flag to go up. So the S corporation in itself is a hot ticket item because so many people are doing that because you can escape self-employment taxes. And so there are a lot of business owners that are going that route. So the IRS is really, really going to be keying in on that specific line. So
what happens if you lose, we had the pandemic and lots of businesses lost money. They didn't have the cash flow to pay themselves.
Well, that's where we had things like the PPP, right? The EIDL. That's where we had those items. But if you didn't qualify for those things, so I'll say this about the reasonable compensation. I don't believe that the IRS is going to make that requirement as your business is just tanking, right? If you're operating at a complete loss year after year, I just don't think that that's not feasible. And as a business owner, right, there are some things that we can kind of give and take. We'll make sure that everyone else in our business is paid. Right?
We'll go without a paycheck.
You have to, right? But we want to make sure everyone else is taken care of. But sometimes we'll go without, and that's fine. That's how businesses operate. But I think there is some leeway where the IRS will look at that and they say, well, they're operating at a loss.
But if I've got a profit,
yes,
then I better be paying myself.
You should absolutely be paying yourself. So the other thing that really gets us into trouble is the owner's draw, okay? So an owner's draw is simply when the business owner pulls funds from their business, right? It's not in the way of payroll. You're not going to 1099 yourself. You're just basically pulling money from the business. Since you're already escaping self-employment tax, the IRS wants to make sure that you're not taking these owner's draws and you're receiving funds and you're not going through the proper channel of processing payroll and having federal withholding and Social Security and Medicare and all of that. So if you're doing that, that information goes on the tax return as well. So when they see that there's an owner's draw for $150,000 and you have a profit of $100,000, but there are no owner's wages, there's an issue.
That's the problem. You should have taken that 150 and paid yourself.
Yes.
Which you can do after the fact. You just have to pay the taxes.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the reasonable wage requirement does not determine how frequently you have to pay yourself.
So what I really want you to do is give the audience how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're all over the place, right? I mean, we're talking to social media and everything. We are all over the place. So we're absolutely on LinkedIn. We are a Fort Worth-based firm. However, I remember reading a book called The World is Flat. I think it's Thomas Friedman, right? He talked about globalization and all of that. So we're meeting with clients all over the country via Zoom. We even have clients that are, in Haiti. And so we're talking with them. So we have clients everywhere. And so you can absolutely give us a call. Can I give out our number?
Absolutely.
Sure. 682-224-3243.
And the website is?
And the website is www.jajohnsоncpa.com.
And what is the number one thing you want to make sure the audience gets? Your tip and tidbit for the show today.
Absolutely. Plan in your business. I know we get bogged down with working in our business, but I really, really, really want to encourage our business owners that it is just as critical, if not more critical, to make sure that we're working on our business. And that means looking at our costs, looking at our pricing, planning for taxes so we're not surprised at the end of the year. And don't be afraid to get with professionals. That's what they're there for, to help you with your business. Whether it's a coach or an attorney or a CPA, whoever it is, get with a professional that can help guide your business so that you're growing the right way.
And I am Doreen Milano. I am a certified business coach.
Really?
And what I do is I help businesses get ready for their CPA. We work together to make things happen. So between the CPA and myself, we set up the dashboards, we set up the KPIs, we go through and we gamify what's going on in the business so that they understand. We talk about employees, we talk about the other side of what goes on in the backside of the business that nobody sees. And that is where the crises happen.
Yes.
And that's where a CPA and myself can undo those crises and make them a benefit for the business. So Doreen Milano, my company is Visions to Excellence, and you can find me at v2e.biz, 650-483-5798. Have a blessed day, have a wonderful time, and we'll talk to you soon. The fact is, business has changed. Engagement has changed. And for us to recover our businesses and our communities, we have to engage differently. If you want to have a serious conversation about engagement, community, and your business, call me, Doreen Milano, Visions to Excellence. I'm an executive coach. You can reach me at 650-483-5798 or contact me online at v2e.biz. That's capital V, number 2, e.biz. Let's have a conversation.
This has been Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen Milano solves problems for small and mid-market family-owned businesses and service-based industries. To work with Doreen, go to v2e.biz. For guest and sponsorship information, call 650-483-5798. Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano is produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM Network. For OBBM Network programming information, call 214-714-0495. Unauthorized use of any part of Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano without prior permission through the OBBM Network is strictly prohibited.